Hi everybody!
Hi,
Welcome to Super Breakfast Friends Club.
a show where sometimes we hurt ourselves for your amusement.
But usually we don't.
I do.
That's something you're choosing to do behind the scenes. Because we can't see it on the show.
Well, what? You told me that you were making it a Patreon exclusive.
Oh, is that? Alright. Come and subscribe to our Patreon if you want to see Mel in pain.
Just watching unpleasant things and going, oh, I don't care for that.
Ooh,
Oh, this isn't that good.
Oh, I don't care to see this at all. Donate.
This content is not geared towards me specifically.
Let's play the opening to a show.
It wasn't good.
What, the opening or the show?
Yes.
Yeah, there's like, I don't even know how to describe this opening. It's like, not bad, but it's not anything.
Yeah, it just kind of is.
Yeah, there's no, I mean, it's all just clips from the show. There's no unique animation here. The music isn't really anything to speak of. There's no lyrics. And it doesn't even put the title of the show up. Did you notice that?
No.
Yeah, it doesn't even tell you what the show's called. You just have to know that you're watching Rayman.
You know what you've signed in for before you came here.
Oh yeah, this is Rayman, by the way, for anybody just listening. I just realized, yeah.
Decipher based on that nondescript music.
So Rayman was a game that was released in 1995, originally for the Atari Jaguar, which I did not know.
I didn't know that existed.
No, me neither. It was later ported to the Sega Saturn and PlayStation, where real people could play it.
As opposed to jungle-dwelling folk.
As opposed to big cats. It was made by... Is it Ubisoft or Ubisoft?
I think Ubisoft?
Yeah, I think that's right. It was created by... Here we go. I believe it's pronounced Michel Ancel.
Okay.
He's French.
I gathered.
He's also known for creating Beyond Good and Evil and The Rabbids.
Oh, no.
Now, Beyond Good and Evil is the only game he's made that I really have any experience with. I guess I played Rayman Origins, but I've never played this Rayman. I've never played original Rayman.
No, I've never... I don't think I've ever played a Rayman.
No, it's weird. I feel like everybody has, except us.
I don't think that's true. I feel like it's not as large a number as one might suspect.
Oh, really?
I've heard of Rayman, but how often do you come across like avid Rayman fans?
Ray fans?
Ray fans.
I don't know. I mean, there's a lot of people who are demanding that he be in Smash Brothers.
They demand everyone be in Smash Brothers.
That's true. That's true. I guess people did demand James Bond be in Smash Brothers.
Which, as we all know, is bullshit because he would just have his slappy hand and he would win everything.
Yeah, he wouldn't be allowed any guns. If Snake wasn't allowed any guns, they're not going to give him to Rayman. James Bond.
No, they will give the guns to Rayman.
That's why Snake fights only with explosives in Smash Brothers, because they didn't want to give him any guns.
Fox has a gun.
Yeah,
Falco has a gun.
They have pew-pew guns. It's different. They're not pulling out a Glock.
I don't understand how explosives are somehow permissible.
Because explosives are like cartoony, right? I mean, not if you've ever dealt with one in real life.
Right,
you
they're
know what I
cartoony
mean.
until they're not.
They're more cartoony than a bullet, unless it has a face on it and arms.
I was gonna say, what if its name was Bill?
All right, poking a lot of holes in the idea now. I'm just gonna move on.
No, we can't move on until we've demolished this argument and we get Snake his guns.
But Sakurai's not here. We can't convince Sakurai, if you're listening, which I know you are.
Get him in the Discord call. I've got him in my contacts. It's only you and Sakurai.
Friend of the show. What's his first name again? I think it's Masahiro, but I'm not sure.
Close personal friend.
Close personal friend Miyamoto Sakurai. Anyway, we've gone off topic, as we all want to do.
I'm doing it on purpose this time. I don't want to talk about Rayman.
We got to get back to talking about Michel Ancel, because I don't want to have to say his name too many more times.
Fine.
Because I'm sure I'm saying it wrong. Apparently, he started making video games at the age of 13 and was hired by Ubisoft at 17.
That's impressive.
He left game development to work on a wildlife sanctuary in 2020 while being investigated for allegedly toxic leadership.
Oh, that's not so impressive.
Ubisoft were going through a lot in 2020.
Yeah.
There were a lot of allegations going around, many of which I believe were true.
Yeah, Ubisoft isn't great.
No.
Let's not mince words.
I don't know much about Ubisoft. I'm trying to think, like, what Ubisoft games have I played? I played Watch Dogs.
Assassin's Creed.
Oh, Assassin's Creed. I forgot that was Ubisoft. Okay, so I've played Assassin's Creed, Watch Dogs. I can't think of anything else.
Yeah, for a while there was just the Assassin's Creed company.
Yeah, and I think that's like the period where I first got to know them, really.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I guess they're doing the Mario Rabbids crossover games now, but I haven't played any of those.
No, can't say it's high up on my list.
I've heard they're really good.
I've heard that too, and you know what? They probably are fun, but I don't know if it's for me.
Same. Exactly the same boat I'm in. I would like to hear the Grant Kirkhope soundtrack.
I didn't know he did the soundtrack.
Yeah, I don't know if he did both of them, but I know he did the first one at least.
Well, that is certainly quality.
Yeah, he knows what he's doing. And I assume that means that he got to do some Mario remixes as well, which I'd be interested to hear.
If only there was some way to listen to those without playing the game.
I know, if only. Because Nintendo keep getting all their music taken down from YouTube. And they don't put it officially anywhere.
Rude.
It is rude. Anyway, I did some research about Rayman, and I found out that originally Rayman was intended to be set inside a virtual world, and Rayman himself was going to be the player's avatar within that world.
Okay.
He was named Rayman after the rendering technique called ray tracing, where they trace the exact path of a ray of light to render an image. But at some point during development, they completely changed that story, and now Rayman takes place in a dream world instead.
Okay.
I think there's like some kind of god that's dreaming all the characters into existence.
I don't actually know a single thing about Rayman lore.
No, me neither, really. That I literally just said everything I know about it, and it might not be correct.
What do you mean it might not be correct?
I believe that's the case.
You come here for solid facts, and we can't even deliver.
You can you can take that as a solid fact, and if you know that it's wrong, please leave an angry comment.
It is the only form of criticism we accept.
Yeah, the angrier the better. More anger means more engagement.
More exclamation marks.
Yes. At least 5.
5 is a pittance. I need that number tripled.
So this show was made close to and as marketing for Rayman 2, apparently.
Okay.
It was intended as 26 episodes. Only 4 were finished. And it was released on VHS in the US on December 6th, 1999. It only ever aired on TV in France, Germany, and the Netherlands a little bit later in December.
I can't say that I blame them.
I'm assuming, based on what I know of how TV animation works, I'm assuming they made these 4 episodes as a pitch, basically.
Mm-hmm.
And then used those to shop around for a network to fund the rest of the show.
Mm-hmm.
Couldn't find one. And then just released what they had on VHS instead.
Couldn't find one for Rayman, the greatest television show?
I know. It seems to have been animated in-house by Ubisoft, which it would explain why it looks like cutscenes from a 2000s video game. Because it does, right? Did you think that too?
It wasn't the first thing that came to mind, no.
It looks like the pre-rendered cutscenes you'd get in like a Psychonauts or something.
Yeah, I get what you're saying. I was just so aghast at what I was witnessing that didn't really register to me.
Yeah, well, you're gonna be shocked when you hear about some of the talent involved in this, I think, because I sure was, given what we watched.
Some of the talent, like the voice talent, because I can identify some of them.
Not just the voice talent, but this show was developed by Jonathan Greenberg, who wrote for Rugrats, Hey Arnold, Arthur, Recess. He also wrote the Recess movie.
How did this show happen?
I don't know. He co-wrote it with Michelle Jablona-Weiss, aka Michelle Hennessy, who mostly works as an executive producer, but she was a story editor on Rugrats, a supervising producer on Rocko's Modern Life. She's worked for Nickelodeon, Disney, Warner Brothers, and she's currently at Amazon Prime Video, last I could find.
I'm confused.
These people know what they're doing.
Yeah, these are competent individuals, it would seem, who worked on good titles.
Yeah, like I just listed a bunch of shows I love.
Yeah.
These people worked on. I'm not sure. I'm going to go ahead and say it. I really don't know what happened. I want to say maybe this is just a bad episode of Rayman, but based on what I saw here, I'm not convinced it gets better.
No, me neither. Like this, it's not just like the story was bad. Everything was bad.
It really was. Yeah. And what's wild is that these are like huge name, really good actors.
Uh-huh.
Giving like kind of bad performances.
You know, on any other day of the week, I would say Billy West can do no wrong. However...
But yeah, spoiler alert, Billy West is in here. Anyway, we'll get to him when we get to it. So this episode is called Lac-Mac Napping, which is a mouthful on its own. And we open in some kind of forested city.
It looked like a graveyard that was also a city.
It kind of did, yeah. It's full of giant trees, like huge, giant trees. I guess Rayman is supposed to be small. You know, I'm unclear. But I'm remembering that I've seen Rayman with like giant fruit and stuff around him.
Maybe he was just in that Mario world that's really, really big.
Oh, Giant World.
Giant World.
Yeah, just like Mario when we covered the Super Mario Bros. 3 show.
Yeah.
And they went to Giant World. Or Giant World came to them, I guess. There's some kind of floating circus tent floating across the top of the buildings. I didn't like it. It was kind of creepy because it moved like it was alive. Later on, I realized that the intention was that it's kind of like a hot air balloon.
Mm-hmm.
But it didn't. It moved like a slug. It moved like a big floating slug.
It sure did. The show isn't good to look at with your eyeballs.
No. We see a poster for Lac-Mac. He is a rabbit ?
Yeah, like he's got rabbit adjacent ears, and I was thinking maybe they were going for something like a legomorph, but a lacomorph.
Well, there's another new character for us, the Lacamore.
No, I don't like it. You draw this one.
All the performers for the circus are in cages. We don't know why yet. I guess.
Yeah, we're not really introduced to anyone so much as we're just kind of thrown into this prison cell with them.
The most we get for an introduction to them is... So the circus opens. People start arriving. It's called Rigatoni's Circus. The performers are introduced as part of the circus.
Well, some of them anyway.
Some of them anyway, yes. Notably missing from the introductions is our main character, Rayman himself, who is not really introduced in any way. But we have... The first character we're introduced to is Bettina, who is played by Carolyn Lawrence. Did you recognize her voice?
Oh, I sure did, because my entire notes, I called her Sam de Chork.
Yes, so this is the voice of Sandy Cheeks. She also played Cindy in Jimmy Neutron. She played Ashley in Resident Evil 4, which I did not know.
Oh, me neither.
And not much else. She mostly has just spent like 20 years playing Sandy Cheeks.
And good for her.
Yeah, I mean, I'm sure it brings in plenty of money. But because I was looking down this list and it was just like a million appearances of Sandy Cheeks. She's probably got her hands full with all the spin-off shows and video games and movies that they make.
She's got her cheeks full.
That's rude.
I meant her face.
Oh. It's not my mind went.
It never is.
Carolyn Lawrence only plays Bettina for 2 of the 4 episodes.
Okay.
They made 4 episodes, and Bettina has 3 different voice actors.
They really had some trouble for whatever reason, huh?
They really did. Yeah, I don't know what happened. None of the other voices changed, but yeah, Bettina changes twice. That's wild, though. Like, there's 2 other actresses who only played her for 1 episode each. So Bettina, I don't know what she's supposed to be. She's like chipmunk adjacent.
She's, I don't know. She's the closest thing to a human that we have, but also in some kind of uncanny, unnatural way.
There's something animalistic about her. Then we're introduced to Flips. I don't know who voices Flips. He just squeaks. I could not find a listing. So I'm sorry, voice of Flips. Whoever you are. It's just squeaks. Flips is the high wire act, but...
Flips immediately falls off the high wire.
Yeah, and it's fine because he can fly. Because he's a bug. The audience are impressed by this.
Yeah.
So I think they're just easily impressed.
The episode starts off with Rigmarole yelling at them in cages, saying, if you don't perform well, then I'm not going to feed you today. Does that not count as a bad performance when 10 seconds in you fall off the high wire?
The audience cheered.
The audience cheers at everything.
That's true. Like, speaking of easily pleased audiences.
Here comes Lac-Mac.
Here comes Lac-Mac, the star attraction of the circus, we are told. In no uncertain terms.
We are told, because they certainly don't show us.
He just juggles. That's his thing. He juggles. Not particularly impressively, even.
No, or for a long period of time.
No. I love that Rigatoni is like so cartoonishly evil right off the bat because he's peering at his own circus from behind a curtain. Like, he's not even the ringleader. He's watching it clandestinely from behind a curtain.
That's my Lac-Mac. That's my boy.
Rigatoni and Lac-Mac are both played by Danny Mann, who is very, very prolific, but mostly does additional voices roles. I mostly knew him as the voice of Ferdinand the Duck in Babe. He also apparently played Percy the Pug in Pocahontas, one of that movie's far too many animal sidekicks.
I've never actually seen Pocahontas,
You're not
so
missing much.
yeah, just hearing that there's a pug in there, I'm like, oh okay, I
Yeah,
guess.
they had some luck with marketable animal sidekicks for a few movies before Pocahontas. And Pocahontas is where they just, for my money, lost all their goodwill when it comes to animal sidekicks. Because they put in 3 animal sidekicks, only one of which has any interaction with the main plot. And that interaction is just that it steals a guy's compass thinking it's a biscuit.
Cool.
That's literally the only major effect on the plot any of the animal sidekicks have. There's a hummingbird, there's a raccoon, and there's a pug. You only needed the raccoon, and you only needed him for like 2 scenes, maybe. The hummingbird doesn't do anything.
I mean, that's the role that I occupy in life.
No, that's not true. You're recording a podcast right now, which is more than that hummingbird ever did.
Where's your podcast, hummingbird?
I don't even remember his name. I think it was Flit.
Humbo?
Humbo Jumbo. Razorbeard is here.
Oh, is that what he's called? Because they never tell us.
They do tell us the name for him, and it's not Razorbeard, but I couldn't figure out what it was because it's mush-mouthy. Hello, this is Mike from the future of the recording, but the past of you listening. I had another listen to the episode wearing headphones, and it turns out that what Rigatoni actually called him was Tamer.
Tamer!
So I guess it's more of a title than a different name. So anyway, bye. No, this is Razorbeard. He shows up with a whip to escort Lac-Mac back to his cage. Besides Rayman himself, this is the only character from the games who appears in this show.
Okay.
But in Rayman 2, which, bear in mind, was the game this show was made to promote,
Yes.
Razorbeard is the main antagonist and is the leader of a band of pirates. Robot pirates.
Yeah, I did think it was a little bit weird that this pirate was in a circus troupe.
Yeah, here he's just a circus employee. There's no circus in the games. He's just a pirate.
That is the question that has been burning since I started watching this. Like, is this even part of the game? Because I can't imagine it is.
It's not. Nope. The only... And also, he's been redesigned. In the game, he doesn't have a visible mouth. His mouth is implied to be behind his metal beard, which is kind of like separate from the actual head, and moves when he talks. And in the game, he also speaks in a robotic voice.
You incompetent imbecile! Send the warship and destroy him!
Which makes sense.
Yeah. In this, he just sounds like a guy.
Now, the amazing Lac-Mac will toss you your pins high up into the air.
He has a weird mouth below the razor. So he's really more of a razor stash rather than a razor beard.
Not a great kisser.
On top of all of this, he only appears in this episode.
What?
Yeah. Or at least it looks like that from what I read about others.
Okay.
Yeah, so that's weird. Razorbeard is played by Carlos Alazraqui. I'm probably pronouncing that wrong, and I apologize. This is somebody else who I love very much, because he is the voice of Rocco in Rocco's Modern Life.
That's pretty good.
He also played the teacher in Fairly Odd Parents, the guy who hates fairies or whatever.
Mr. Crocker.
Yes, that's the guy. Apparently he was the original voice of Spyro. I thought Tom Kenny was the original voice of Spyro, but apparently Tom Kenny replaced him in Spyro 2, and it's just better remembered, I guess.
Spyro 2 is the more playable Spyro.
Yeah, I remember learning that in school.
We spent a week on it.
He also played Winslow in Cat Dog. That was the little blue mouse guy with the...
Fucking hated Winslow.
Yeah, he kind of sucked. He's Laszlo in Camp Laszlo, which I've never seen.
I watched some of it. I don't remember hating it.
Okay. And he is also the voice of Mike Wazowski for any projects that don't have a Billy Crystal budget.
Billy Crystal budget. See, that's what our show is missing. We haven't allotted enough to the Billy Crystal budget.
I know. It's on the cash flow sheet. There's no money on the cash flow sheet, but the Billy Crystal budget column is there.
I was gonna say, is that the document that we keep just drawing butts on?
Yeah, no, it's not butts because that would look too much like a 3.
We don't want numbers anywhere near our cash flow document.
I mean, we want them, but we can't trick ourselves into thinking they're there. Where are we? Bettina. Bettina is making a speech about how badly they're treated to the people who are being treated badly. And so don't need to hear this.
I also want to point out that the way that they get Lac-Mac off the screen is that as the crowd is still watching, a man with a whip just kind of ushers him off, and no one finds that strange.
No, of course. I don't think these people care. I mean, they're checked out enough that they were entertained by someone who can fly, falling off the high wire and flying.
That's true.
I think these are the kind of people who've been told to go to a circus and enjoy it.
Okay, yeah.
So they did.
They've been given free tickets by their boss instead of a promotion.
Oh, I was just thinking they saw a poster and they were like, must go to circus. It's like me every time I see a billboard for a McDonald's burger.
The next thing you know, you've blacked out and there's burger wrappers all over your room.
I'll see a billboard for a burger that I'm sure I wouldn't like, but then I'm like, oh, I should try that. I like that they addressed the fact that Flips could leave whenever he wanted, and didn't really do much to patch over the reason that he doesn't.
Oh, Flips, why don't you fly away? Save yourself. You're right. We do need each other.
Well, they have to stick together, obviously. They're nothing without each other.
Yeah, to me that just told me that the writers at least recognized that it didn't make any sense.
That this teeny tiny little bug can just fly right through the bars.
Yeah. At least they knew it, you know?
Mm-hmm. It's a little bit of lamp shading, but they tried.
They sure did. Yeah, I'm okay with that. Outside in the tent, Razorbeard is telling Rigatoni that he can't get Rayman to listen.
Because Rayman is here now, and we have no idea why.
Yeah, we're not told how they got Rayman. It's not explained why he's there or where he came from or who he is. He's being childishly difficult.
It's like they really wanted him to be a kind of Bugs Bunny type character, but they just don't have the writing chops.
It's Bugs Bunny as a 4-year-old, right?
Yeah.
That's all I could think when he's like,
Imagine I'm Lac-Mac.
But you don't look like Lac-Mac.
I know I don't look like Lac-Mac. But for now, I am pretending to be Lac-Mac. Capiche?
Well, you're not doing a very good job. Lac-Mac is goofy and he jumps around a lot.
I was like, okay, this is a 4-year-old who doesn't want to do their schoolwork. Why is a 4-year-old in school? I don't know. Don't ask questions.
I was in school at 4.
Were you?
I went to preschool.
School ended at 3 p.m. for me. Sorry.
I hate you.
Preschool doesn't count, though. You don't. Did you learn in preschool? We just played when I went.
I don't know. I can't say that I remember much before last week.
So the
you
learning
asked
didn't
me to
stick.
recall. I mean, nothing sticks. That's why I'm here with you.
That's true.
The dregs of society.
Learning about Rayman, so I can teach you all about Rayman again next time we look at this show.
Since I've forgotten it since the 1 week in school that we went over it.
Rayman is played by Billy West.
Oh, Billy.
Oh, Billy.
Why?
Billy West is another extremely prolific and very, very talented actor. I think what you know him best for is going to depend on what you grew up with. I personally, the first thing I always think of is Futurama, where he plays Fry, the Professor, Zoidberg, and Zap Brannigan, among others. He was the voices of both Ren and Stimpy He was Doug. Remember Doug?
I do remember Doug.
He's also played various Looney Tunes, mostly Elmer Fudd. But he also has played Bugs Bunny a few times, including in Space Jam.
Oh.
And if you don't know how much Space Jam is tied into my life, you should.
You should leave now. It's about to get ugly.
I didn't know he'd also played Woody Woodpecker for a time.
Me neither.
And also Popeye.
The Sailor Man?
The Sailor Man himself. I knew he had played Popeye because I've heard him do his Popeye voice in Futurama commentaries. He's also the voice of the Red M&M.
Oh.
Yeah. So Rayman tries to leave but gets stopped by Rigatoni and thrown in one of the cages. Again, unclear how they overpowered him here.
Yeah, it seems like he just kind of went along with it.
He asks Lac-Mac if he wants anything, and Lac-Mac says freedom, and then he yells at him for it. But it did seem like he was willing to give him anything other than that.
I mean, kind of. It's still made clear that it's prison food.
Is it?
He says,
So, Lac-Mac, what can I get you? A little more bread, water?
Oh, okay. Yeah, I guess I didn't take in what was being offered. I just took in the tone with which it was being offered.
I mean, that's the brilliance of the scene. The tone is, it sounds like he's trying to placate his star by giving him whatever he wants. But cleverly, he doesn't. Because they are prisoners.
Now I get it.
See, it was a big brain move.
Now I'm the one learning.
Well, you need to pay for that. I'm not giving these nuggets away for free.
Patreon.com/Super Breakfast Friends Club.
To pay off Mike's learning debt.
And hear the things that I cut out of this episode. As of this recording, the last clip I uploaded was called Diarrhea Restaurant.
I'm sorry, what?
Just subscribe to the Patreon if you'd like to hear the clip entitled Diarrhea Restaurant.
I don't remember that at all.
Me neither. So, who is Cookie?
I don't know.
He's a funny rat man who's in this cage. I don't know why. He doesn't seem to be a performer.
Yeah, he wasn't introduced in the beginning. It takes us half of the episode to even find out his name.
Yeah, he's just here in the cage. He's also played by the same guy who plays Razorbeard. So the circus flies away while Rayman plots a way out and Rigatoni watches on cameras.
Because Lac-Mac was denied his freedom, he's now working on his next act, which is to bend a bar.
Oh yeah. What is Rayman's accent?
Who does he think he is? What does he think we are? Locked up in cages like animals.
I have no idea.
Okay, good.
I tried so hard to figure it out. That's why I'm like, Billy West, what is this?
Yeah. It's so funny because I recognized his voice immediately, but the weird accent convinced me that maybe it was a non-English speaker doing the voice.
Some Frenchman.
Yeah. I don't know. There's just certain words he says in a funny way. It's not any accent that I know.
It's like trying to be some kind of New England or like Northeast American accent, but not quite getting there.
Yeah, and not consistently doing it either.
Yeah.
It's like a normal accent for a little while and then it becomes a strange one for a few words.
Then it gets weird.
Yeah, so he bends the bar into a dog shape, right? Lac-Mac does.
Mm-hmm.
And then Rayman accuses it of being a trick bar, but it's not. It's real.
And this is the first time it dawns on these people that have been trapped in a cage with him that Lac-Mac is strong.
That's fun. Yeah, that's what because, okay, Rayman's suddenly realizing it. That makes sense. He just got here, as far as we know.
As far as we know.
But why didn't Bettina know this already?
Because she's dumb as a post.
They both have this realization at the same time.
Lac-Mac's strong!
Rayman tells Lac-Mac to bend the bars, which she does.
That's literally all they do to escape.
Yeah, and Flips goes up and puts his face in the camera so Rigatoni can't see. But it doesn't seem like a really good idea, because all it means is that Rigatoni immediately sends a guard to go check.
Like, this has never happened before. Maybe I should figure out what they're up to.
Yeah, I gotta give props to Rigatoni here. He did the right thing.
Yeah.
So Razorbeard shows up at the cages, and only Rayman and Flips are here now. They trick him into a cage and then they spin it. That's the scene.
Yeah. Which, to give them a little bit of credit, is better than I was expecting, because I thought they were going to try and trap him in this cage that had two obviously bent wires.
Yeah, I was going to say it might have been better if they had locked him in, but then I remembered that they bent all the bars, so I guess not.
You almost got outsmarted by Rayman.
I guess so. So they all escape. Rayman catches up with the others, and as they're running, he notices Cookie is holding a pocket knife.
Yeah, which he's had with him this whole time. Like, if you're imprisoned and you have a knife, you've got a pretty good heads up.
I just love that he's running while holding it out in front of him.
Listen, they warned us not to run with scissors, but they never said nothing about no rusty pocket knife.
It's true. Like, presumably it's been in his pocket until now, but then he was like, oh, I gotta run. I better hold up my running knife.
They tell us that it's his bread knife for cutting through bread, but it's a pocket knife for cutting through flesh.
Yeah. Oh, it's a switchblade, isn't it, basically?
Basically.
It's for bread, I swear. This isn't my prison shiv. Anyway, Rayman takes the knife and cuts a big old hole in the side of the tent. This is the point where I realized that it was supposed to be a big blimp type thing.
Yeah.
And it starts to slowly descend now that there's a hole cut in it.
Yeah, the physics of the balloon never actually change. It just starts descending, and Razorbeard flies around in the background.
Oh, yeah. And Rayman and his friends jump out while Rigatoni calls Detective Grubb and tells him to start searching for his performers. Apparently, Detective Grubb basically takes the secondary antagonist role for the rest of the show.
That's kind of what I gathered from the intro.
Yeah, Razorbeard doesn't show up again, and Detective Grubb kind of takes his place for the rest of it. Detective Grubb is also played by Danny Mann, who is playing Rigatoni and Lac-Mac.
Manny Dan.
So there's only like 3 voice actors, possibly 4, depending on who played Flips, because I have no idea.
Well, until Sandy Cheeks was like, this doesn't look good for me personally. And she took off and presumably went on to be Sandy Cheeks forever.
Wait, yeah, this must have been right before SpongeBob. Do you think she left this for SpongeBob?
Wait, you said this came out in 99?
Yeah.
I thought SpongeBob was out a little bit before then.
May 1999, so she might have left this for SpongeBob.
Good for her.
Oh, I hope so. Sandy isn't there immediately in SpongeBob either, is she? Doesn't she show up like a way into the first season or something?
Yeah, she's definitely not in like the first couple of episodes, but it's been a long time since I've
same.
been caught up on the sponge.
Same. Rigatoni vows revenge on Rayman. Rayman and his friends walk into the city, which I squinted real hard at the sign to figure out what it was called. It seems to be Aeropolis.
Are they in the air?
No.
All right.
They came from the air.
Yeah. What if it was just called Groundland?
That's the Mario stage. This guy on the outskirts of the city.
This country bumpkin.
He's working on a car. He's actively working on a car. And when Rayman and friends ask him about it, he tells them that he's been trying to fix it for 10 years. and hasn't had any luck. What is he doing?
Apparently, all he did was throw a bunch of stuff under the hood because all Cookie does is spend 30 seconds removing parts, and then that makes the car work.
Is that what he did?
There's just a pile of junk afterwards.
I thought it was funny that Rayman immediately says Cookie can fix it. And, okay, I could tell from the design that Cookie is here to be an inventor / mechanic character, but he hasn't done anything to show it up to this point.
We have no reason to believe that Cookie can do anything except forget he owns a pocket knife.
Yeah. Yeah, the only thing we know about Cookie is that he carries metal bars and pocket knives in his pants.
But, like, that could be anyone.
Yeah. But guy who has a knife is not the best character niche to fit into. You can't do a lot plot-wise if your whole thing is that you're the guy with the knife.
Sure you can.
Especially
Knife guy?
especially once you've given the knife to someone else, though.
Well, you don't know that he didn't take it back in the end.
That's true, we don't know that. Although,
What if the finale of the show that never got made culminates with Cookie having to use his knife to unscrew something?
Unscrew something.
Yeah. Just use... he's not stabbing anyone. This is Rayman.
Okay, you're right.
He's not going to do anything fun and actiony. It's going to be really anticlimactic. Like, he throws the knife to push a button on the other end of a room.
Yeah.
But because he's the knife guy, he's the only one that can do it.
You know, I feel like that's the only end to his character arc that would be satisfying. Calls back to the first episode. Rewards viewers for paying attention this long. I'm really curious to know exactly how much the show would move on if they had made the whole 26 episodes. Would every single episode have been Rayman and his friends in this one city avoiding this one villain?
Probably. I can't see them thinking much further ahead than that.
It looks like that's what the 4 episodes they made are. I don't think they leave the city.
Because, like, what would the problem be if they weren't getting chased down by the guy that they ran away from? What purpose would the show have to exist? What's the conflict?
Oh, I'm sure he would always be the main conflict. I just mean, like, would they have introduced other villains for, like, some episodes?
Like a bounty hunter?
Yeah. Would they have ever left the city? Maybe they do leave the city. We'll come back to this show and have a look.
Ugh.
As it is, Cookie fixes the car. The inventor said they could have it for free if they could get it to work, so they just take it. And they drive away, and the episode abruptly ends.
Thanks for the car.
It was such a wet fart of an ending.
It really was. Yeah. You would think, since this is quite short, it's only 12 minutes long, you would think it was intended to air with 2 episodes. But it's not.
You would be wrong.
It was just 12-minute episodes. Each one has an opening and a credit sequence. And when they did air on TV in France, they did air separately on different days. Just a weird ending. I don't know if episode 2 picks up immediately from this, but I have seen screenshots of them in the car that aren't from this. So I'm assuming the car is just something they have now.
No, they're just on a road trip.
A road trip around one town. Like, why did they even need the car if they don't leave this town?
Well, maybe it's not a very walkable city.
That's true.
Maybe
That's
the grocery store is too far away and their ice cream will melt if they walk.
You used to be able to walk to a newsagent, to a butcher, a baker, but now you have to drive to a supermarket. That's all you can do. I heard that. Anyway, that's it. We've done. We've finished Rayman.
Finally, we can put him to rest.
You know, I didn't know this show existed until it was recommended to me by my friend Paul, known as Paul Draws Art on Twitter and I think Instagram and other places. Go check him out. You probably know him already if you know this show.
You should check him out and send him my ire for making me watch this. Yeah, I can't say I'm surprised that nobody knows this exists, because this was not a good show.
It wasn't. I do wonder, you know, a lot of shows have a bad first episode.
I think this is unforgivable.
Like, if they're using the first episode to set up a premise for the rest of the show, it's hard to do a good episode while you're also worrying about setting up the premise, you know?
I do, but I feel like the flaws are they're too deep. They're much deeper than just that.
Yeah, you know, I can't argue. Do you think, though, imagine it's 2001. I don't know why 2001, because that's not when this came out. But imagine it's that long ago-ish. And you're a huge Rayman fan.
Mm-hmm.
And then this comes on TV. Do you think you'd be excited about it?
Probably not.
No.
Because this show failed to do anything. Like, it wasn't funny. It wasn't suspenseful. It wasn't interesting.
Rayman doesn't even really do any Rayman things.
No. He didn't shoot a single ray from his gaping neck.
Well, I don't think he does that.
Why do they call him Rayman?
I told you why at the beginning of the episode. He doesn't use his arm to do like a distance punch like he does in the game. He doesn't ever fly with his helicopter hair.
His helicopter?
Yeah. He never rides a big pink mosquito. I've listed all the things I know that Rayman does.
That's 3 more things than I knew Rayman did.
Should we talk about the legacy of the show?
There's a legacy?
No.
All right, then.
No, as far as I can tell, this show has no legacy. None of its characters ever appeared again.
Rest in peace, Lac-Mac.
Very strange that they chose to create a mostly original cast and premise for this.
Yeah.
Especially since the games already had characters who feel equivalent to these ones.
And because they were trying to hype people up for a sequel that didn't feature any of these characters other than Rayman and Bristlebeard.
Yeah. Lac-Mac especially is really weird because I feel like they could have easily just replaced him with Globox. Do you know Globox?
I do not.
You've probably seen him at least. Let me find you a picture.
Yeah, I like him.
He's cool, right? He's cute.
He's got style.
He's funny. He debuted in the game that this show was promoting. He first appeared in Rayman 2.
Maybe they didn't use him in the role of Lac-Mac because there's no way that this guy would be caught unawares and kept in this puny little cage. You cannot contain him.
I think you could. I'm just going to... I think you could. I think you could contain him okay.
I think you're underestimating him.
But yeah, Globox is Rayman's best friend in the games. I mean, I only know him from Rayman Origins, where he's the Player 2 character. And he's great. He's funny. He's like a comic relief character. I love him. I love this guy. Put him in the show. Take Lac-Mac away.
Don't drag his career into the mud.
Okay, you're all right. But no, maybe he would have elevated this to an art form. Maybe the presence of Globox would have made this show good.
I don't think so.
Lac-Mac doesn't.
No, he doesn't.
And they're like roughly the same size. They're the same color. Take Lac-Mac away from me. I don't ever want to see him again. We'll probably come back and see him again at some point.
There's only 4 episodes. We're a quarter of the way through.
Yeah. I mean, I want to see Detective Grubb say more than one thing.
I guess.
And I also want to see these other actresses for Bettina.
Do they ever make it out of the city?
Don't know. We'll find out. Thanks for joining us, everybody. You could find us on Patreon at patreon.com/superbreakfastfriendsclub. If you want to hear us talk about some things that weren't suitable for broadcast, or we're just too dumb to include in the show.
That's the one.
You can also find us at coffee.com/superbreakfastfriendsclub or on Twitter at sbreakfastfc. Mel, do you want to add anything?
I think that this show has cleaved about 15 years off of my lifespan.
Oh, wow.
So now I'm only going to live into my 10,000s.
Ubisoft, we will be expecting a call from your lawyers.
For the unlawful use of Rayman.
Yes, please have your lawyers call us so that we can sue you for Mel's health problems whilst you sue us for disparaging Rayman.
We don't really know how the law works, so we're gonna need your guys to call our guys and hire them for us.
Yeah.
Yeah, your guys are also gonna have to get our guys up to speed because I don't even remember what this conversation's about, let alone an entire lawsuit.
Bye.
We're gonna have to start bullshitting something to artificially pad the time.
What's your favorite anagram that you can make out of the word Rayman?
Man Ray.
I like Am Ryan.